Okay, fam, I'm back in, obviously doing another Mythlab, and today I want to talk about the underworld. Like the underworld, obviously, is something everybody talks about. This is below the surface. This is the land of the dead. This is the place where you don't come back from, right? Like most of the time. This is truly that place. Like what happens to you when you die, that depends on who you're speaking with, what time era, and what location of the world, because everybody's got a different. Now, these places that you see up here lined up, this is not hell. Not one of these is actually hell in any way. I think Tartarus is probably as close as it gets because it is a place of torment, but different cultures like Tartarus represent deep imprisonment. You can see that. I'm going to break out what Tartarus really is. The Duat is a spiritual passageway. Like the Duat is an experience, man. You got to go through the Duat, and you're going to take a lot of tests while you're in the Duat. I'm going to explain some of those. This is more spiritual. And Mictlan is death is treated more as just like moral order, like the normal order, like just this is just what happens. Mictlan, I'd say, is more just straight up, not judgment, but just like inevitability. That's what I would describe Mictlan is. It's just the inevitable, right? That all things die. There's no judgment when you get there, right? It doesn't really care about you. It's more of just an accounting system. The way I understand, like they keep everyone's bones. So I want to talk about these in detail because there's some similarities, but we need to kind of investigate a little bit deeper to kind of get to what those are, right? So the first one I want to talk about, obviously, is Tartarus. And Tartarus is one, if you followed any Greek mythology, like at all, you've heard several stories of Tartarus. It's all over Greek mythology. This is a primordial realm. So this is the realm before creation really started. It is a cosmic abyss. This is punishment. This is containment. This is divine imprisonment. So anyone, like I think this is here, one of the Cyclops, if they imprison you and you were chained in Tartarus for a lot of reasons. So it symbolizes by chains, fires, darkness, depth beyond Hades. So remember, they have Hades as realm, right? They have actual Hades. This is below Hades. This is a whole different management group down there for special problem children, which is what they got. Now, it's not just a location. It's a force itself. It is a force itself that is comparable to both chaos and Gaia, and those two were also like foundational to life. Like Gaia was life, chaos was whatever. When those two got together, I think it was chaos and Gaia that got together and started making the first gods. So this is as deep below Hades as possible. This is the equivalent from Hades to Tartarus is the same space from Hades to the heavens, right? Like that's how far this is. This is space outside of normal existence, right? So you just end up sent to Hades. You couldn't get in a car and drive there or anything and go to Tartarus yourself. This is a primordial space, so it requires some type of divine access to get there. So the beings who were sent to Tartarus, you're not just being punished, you're being removed from the cosmic order. So you're no longer, able to function. It's like man, whether in the military when they take you places and your cell phones, none of that stuff works. Like an absolute dead zone. Everything is absolutely an ice zone. You're absolutely frozen out. So you don't have a connection, and I think that's one of the most significant parts of talking about Tartarus is that you don't have a connection to the outside world anymore. That's what it is. So this is what Zeus, by the time Zeus got a hold of it, I don't know if I'm assuming that because the Cyclops were sent there. Remember, the Cyclops were the sons of Cronus. I think they share the same father as Zeus, right? So the one eyed guys, right? The Cyclops, because they look so ugly, like the hundred handers, what they call them. The hundred handers look so fierce that their father just sent them away. They were all mistakes. And the mistake would be they would come back and make weapons for them. But they were all sent down there. So all the divine rebels, Sisyphus gets sent there. Tantalus gets sent there. So this is the eternal prison, the eternal punishment. This is absolute, this is absolute Guantanamo Bay. This is Guantanamo Bay taken to infinity. That's really what this place is, right? This place is ruled indirectly by Zeus. Like Zeus is obviously like got all the control, but he designates who handles the garden. So it's guarded by beings like the hundred handers. Remember, now they flipped it. The hundred handers. This is a terrible story for the hundred handers, right? You were in prison there since birth, from the time you stepped on scene, And then Zeus leads this war, and he frees the Hundred Handers, and then he makes them the guardians of, so all the Titans that they had to lock up there. But you never get to leave. You never get to leave Tartarus, which I would have thought you guys would have wanted to do, getting up out of Tartarus, right? But that's not what happened. Okay, so this place is being described as being a bottomless abyss, literally surrounded by bronze walls. Who knows who built those things? And wrapped in layers of night. It has rivers that run through it. Now, these are not regular rivers. These are rivers of fire specifically. This is crushing darkness is what this place is known by, despite all the fire. And it is endless falling. This is not just a realm like the Duat or other places. This is intentionally disorienting and absolute. And I think Mictlan also fits that. We're talking about Mictlan, probably the last one here. So the key things and forces that you need to know about are Kronos and the Titans are in prison there. This is where they got sent after the Titanomachy, where they went and Zeus went head up with them, and they lost, and this is where they ended up at forever. As long as Zeus rules, unless Zeus's kids bust out the Kronos and says, "Yeah, come back, let's get pops," right, or something like that. That's kind of how it went down. So it's guarded by the Hundred Handers. Typhon also is associated with this realm. Typhon was one of the most powerful of the Titans who challenged Zeus. He was the one who actually came to Mount Olympus and challenged Zeus. So Zeus's authority is absolute there. This is not random. All the beings that are here, that are trapped here, are cosmic level beings. This is like the jail, like, when you had in DC Comics where they have the place where they send all the supervillains, right? This is that place. Or you saw in the new Superman movie, this is that place on a cosmic level. So the important times when you will hear about this place, this realm, is during the Titanomachy. That's when there was a big reversal, and the Hundred Handers got freed, and then the Titans got punished, and they were all sent there. You'll also hear about it in some myths, like the myth of Sisyphus and his eternal labor, and Tantalus and this eternal hunger or thirst that he is forced to endure. So this is the things that cannot be allowed to win, because they would tip the balance of the cosmic realm there. This is absolute power on the highest levels. None of these guys could just exist in regular society. And psychologically, in Greek culture, when they developed this, they were really obsessed with order versus chaos concept. Again, this is a civilization that was really, heavily building institutions, right? That were really grabbing onto the ideas of freedom and, law, like civilization, I should say. So order was the primary hero. They were always at odds with chaos. And what Tartarus represents was the fear of rebellion, the fear of losing control, and the necessity for permanent consequences. So it essentially became Guantanamo Bay. It is a spiritual Guantanamo Bay where you send the worst of your enemies and they're never getting out. There's a line that Amanda Waller says, like, we put them in a hole and then we threw away the hole. You put them in a hole, you threw away the hole, and then you threw the hole in the Tartarus, and that's eternal damnation right there. This is one of the most wicked places. We hear about it all the time, but it is a prison. It is not a hell itself. It is hellish because of the torment, but it itself is just a prison that is controlled ultimately by Zeus or whoever was in charge at that time. Now, the next one is a very different type of underworld, and this is the Duat. And the Duat, or the Tuat as it is known, is part of the ancient Kemetic or Egyptian belief system. And this is a spiritual realm. It is more of a transition dimension, and it is obviously associated there with the afterlife journey, judgment, transformation, and then cosmic renewal. That is a very important thing that hangs on with you're in the Duat, that you will go on to your trials, and if everything works out, bam, cosmic renewal in some other plane that goes beyond. So there's some positivity there. Most of the time, if you're going to the Duat, it's a 50-50 proposition, depending on who you were. If you were good, things probably work out for you. If you were bad, you're probably going to get consumed. That's what it is. So it's different than just like a box that they put you in. Now, this is also known to not specifically be a place. It is more of a parallel dimension. It is a cosmic pathway, if anything else. It is a state of existence between death and eternity. It's ultimately what this place is. If you read the textbooks on the Book of the Dead and the Duat, the Duat is described as existing between and beyond the visible world. This is where how the Duat is housed. It exists between lands. So this is where you're going to make your transition. It mirrors the cosmos in symbolic forms, and it is interconnected with the nightly journey of Atum Ra. So it's part of their big cycle. Every night when the sun goes down, Atum Ra is born, he rises, he's mature, right? He's getting a little old, he's getting a little tired. He descends into the underworld and he's gone. Every night he's down there, he has this battle. This is his fight. This is the same realm that you go to, right? So if you're, of this belief system. So it's not static. It moves, it shifts, it processes souls. So it's a lot of souls, obviously all the souls being processed through the Duat. Now the Duat is about transition and evaluation. It's not automatic punishment. Punishment can happen, right? So who goes here? The dead. That's in a nutshell. Dead humans, mainly dead humans, go here. The sun god Ra goes there every single night. Everybody, a lot of others go along with him to protect him. There's a whole solar park. So we know that who goes down there? Who goes down there? Temtith goes down there. Bastet goes down there. We know that Set goes down there. All the ones who have to battle Apep go down there every single night. And then they see us going by. We're all the dead people. And what happens here is your soul enters a Duat. You travel through various gates. And each one of these gates will be an individual test. And I believe there's 9 gates that you go through. You're going to travel through multiple gates. You're going to encounter guardians, beings, and trials all along the way. You're going to reach judgment before Asar or Osiris, depending on how you identify it. Now, the big important moment, the moment that you've been waiting for, that you didn't know you were waiting for, is the weighing of the heart, which in this case is your heart. And it's like, after all these years, all the stuff you've done, your heart has to be weighed. And we're going to find out what you're really all about, right? So your heart is weighed against the feather of Ma'at. It is overseen by Anubis or Anpu, and is recorded by Thoth or Jehudi or Hermes Trismegistus. Now, the outcomes are either that you are balanced and you get eternal life. You get to go to the field of reeds. This is a great place. If you are unbalanced, you are devoured by Amit, which is a terrible. So this is not hell. This is cosmic classification. So as long as your heart's good, this is not going to be a bad place for you. Really shouldn't be that scary. You probably pass the people on the way that you knew in your life. Like, hey, what's up? Where you going? Oh, I'm a couple of stages ahead of you right now, right? When you're in the ride, like you're passing each other in the line, right, for the ride at Great America, and you might see someone, but they're actually a whole lot further ahead of you because they make that line. So these gates are all guarded by deities. So there's a ton of Kemetic deities that most of us don't know about, and it has this cavern of darkness and this lake of fire. So this is what we define the Duat. These are the characteristics of the Duat. They also have the field of offerings. They have serpent beings and protective spirits. So you're going to run into all these things. And the central axis is the journey of the solar bark moving through the Duat each night, where it would encounter and battle and defeat in that order chaos or Apep. That would restore order, and then you would emerge at the dawn reborn, right? This is the day that doesn't happen, we all have to be like, oh no, right? Because it's over. So him making it through that battle, we all should be jumping in on this fight, because if he doesn't make it through that fight, it's over. Imagine like if you ever saw what was the film, man? Oh man, I can't even think about it. Not The Outsiders, the other gang film, right? Warriors, right? Warriors come out and play because you're into a dangerous neighborhood. That was the thing with the Warriors. You had to go through all these dangerous neighborhoods in order to get home. And there's no bus. You got to walk through. They had at least get on the bus every now and then. These guys are mainly walking through it. And they know you're there already. Like they're saying it on the radio. So this is what the Duat is. It is a system. You're going to meet some noble figures. You're going to meet Asar. You're going to meet Anubis. You're going to read Thoth. You're going to read the great one herself, Ma'at. The cosmic forces you'll see will be there going through the night and the battle. So you're going to see order and chaos. You can sit there and watch it, right, for gigs. But the biggest threat is Apep. Like Apep this is the embodiment of chaos, trying to stop rebirth, trying to stop cosmic rebirth for all of us, right? What a douche. So everybody should stop in here and help this fight out. The final consequence of things don't work out for you is that you get consumed by the Amit. That's the other part. There's Apep you got to worry about. You really got to worry about Amit. Like if Amit is looking at you, It's like when the Jeepers Creepers monster would look at people and be like, "Yeah, you. That's what I'm meant. When you see that, you should be worried about it." And that's what it is. Now you're going to hear about this a lot in myths, and the most famous myth of Atum Ra. He goes there, descends every single night, and this is a part of what you get here. Is that every single night? So it's a part of that mythology. It is a part of the battle, the preservation of order, and in the human, from our perspective, this is hope that the dead may replicate this journey. That's ultimately what we see. We're hoping to be like Atum Ra, to go to the underworld, descend, go through the trials in the underworld, and make it out of the underworld is what we all hope for. Those who aren't successful, well, they never make it out, and that's just what it is. But psychologically, in your noodle brain, this is what this reflected for the culture, that they believed in balance, not necessarily good or evil, but in alignment versus imbalance. So you need to be in alignment with Ma'at, which happen to be all these good things. So they didn't use the word good or evil. They really talked about imbalance and alignment. And I think that's very similar. And if you're out of alignment, it's fed, right? It's fed. If you're out of alignment, Ma'at and is fed. So this underworld is really about continuity. That death is not the end. It is simply a transition with part of this eternal cycle. So we're all in this cycle, and we all come back. So your responsibility is to take care of your heart. It carries your truth. You cannot fake it. You cannot escape it. It says who you are. The culture believes that the universe runs in order, and your soul must fit into that order. Anything that's out, man, we got to get rid of that part, and that typically is you. Now, the last one we're going to compare this one to is obviously Mictlan. And Mictlan is a cold-blooded place, man. Like, our origins come from here, and it is a very, very important. Now, this comes from the Mexica cosmology, right? They used to call it the Aztec. I think that's no longer the accepted term. They never called themselves that, so why would we? And this is the final destination of death, right? So the first one we talked about was more of a prison for anyone. You didn't have to be dead to go to Tartarus, okay? You don't have to be dead to go to Tartarus. It is an underworld, but you don't have to be dead to get there. The second one, the Duat, was more about getting through there, but this one is like, that's it, buddy. You're done. This is death. This is descent. This is the disillusion. It's known for bones, right? It tells you right off the bat. Bones, darkness, wind, obsidian that will slice you up. Dogs as guides, right? So you have some good dogs there, and decay. This is not punishment. It's not even judgment, and it's not transformation. It is simply the end of the road. This is the last place, the last resting place of all time. This is the realm of completion. Completion. This is space where life fully dissolves apart. So life no longer exists. Unlike these other people, it simply receives people in, just takes them in. Come on, everybody. And it literally is everybody. And this is kind of like the mentality that we see come out of it. You get like a La Katrina, where they smile at death because it's the inevitability of death. And she said, I'm still beautiful even if I'm dead. I was beautiful when I was alive. I'm beautiful when I'm dead. So this is a deep layer underworld. Nothing comes out of this underworld. Everybody goes there who dies a natural death. Now, again, not warriors, not the ones chosen by God, just regular humans. Okay. What happens here is the soul does not arrive instantly. You have to go through 9 levels. You face environmental and spiritual obstacles. You endure a long journey, sometimes described as being years, going through this terrible place. But the outcome, here's the kicker. There's no reward at the outcome. There's also no punishment. You just end up there. Like, you get there and you're like, now I'm just here. And you are just here. You're never going anyplace else. So eventually all the souls come here and they rest in stillness. So it's about completion through endurance. You have to endure the last terrible stages of whatever your existence are so that you can finally just go away as a soul and never have anything else. There's 9 levels that you have to get through here. There's a crossing river. You have a dog that helps you across. There are the crushing mountains. There's a field of obsidian blades. That's a terrible place. There is the freezing winds, another terrible place. The arrow field zones, right? You can imagine what that's like. Areas where hearts are tested through exhaustion. Why am I being tested? Like, what's the fail here? There's a dark void regions. There's a final descent through the complete darkness. And then you finally get to the land of Mictlantecuhtli. And you're just there now. It's cold, it's harsh, it's quiet, nobody cares. There's very poor customer service here. You just better find your way down there. And if you don't, whatever, you're still here. But they do want to account for you. So at some point, I guess they're forcing you to go there, and they're gonna make it as difficult as possible the entire way. Now, this is a realm obviously ruled by Mictlantecuhtli, who is the skeletal figure you see right up above me. I'm pretending like he's not. Is he looking at me right now? Because I feel like he's looking at me right now. But I'm not going to worry about it, at least not right now, but possibly later. He, of course, is associated with death and bones himself, and he's not cruel, right? He's not nice. He's just whatever. Like, we want your bones, and that's it. And he has his consort there who sees death alongside with him, his female counterpart. And the environment, like what you have here, what you're really facing is less the god, but more the environment. These are natural obstacles instead of like divine interrogation. So no one's weighing your soul here. The world itself is testing you out. And in the most famous myth, obviously we know that it is Quetzalcoatl who goes into Mictlantecuhtli to retrieve the bones of the previous version of humanity and restore us to life. So this Mictlantecuhtli like kind of stops him. They make it difficult to him. He breaks the bones, but that's why we're imperfect, because he got a bunch of broken bones. And you're all made out of a bunch of broken bones, by the way. You guys are a bunch of bones parted together per this, right? So this is not where the death just goes. This is where humanity itself was rebuilt from death. So what you get out of this is like the psychological part of it is that death is an inevitability. It's not something to escape. It's something you go through. This is about endurance. The soul must withstand the journey and must prove itself morally worthy, right? Just to survive the passage. I don't know what happens if you don't survive the passage, because it seems like you're just going to be dead at the end. And this is about acceptance. There's no paradise. There's no fear of punishment. You just lived, and now you return to cinder. This is the cinder, and it's claiming you back. Like your old recycled bottles that people collect. That's you. You're a recycled bottle, and you're going back here. Except you're made out of bones. So this is the one place that's different to the others. Like, Tartarus doesn't judge you, but you were judged in order to get there. Duat is all about judgment while you're there going through your trials. This place, there's no judgment. You just end up here, which makes my list as the worst one to go through. Well, I guess I don't know. I'm hoping for the Duat because there's a chance of renewal there if I'm good. These other two places, there's literally no chance at all. So these are three major cultures that we're talking about: the Greek, the Mexica, and the Kemetic belief system. So geographically and time-wise separated, I think the Mexica would have been the youngest, and the Kemetic would have been the oldest, and that may have had a little bit of influence on the Greek as well. So I'm going to check out after this one. This was a kind of a short myth lab, but I want to talk about these specific, like just death, and I'm going to talk about obviously resurrection. I'm going to do a resurrection piece right later on today. So stop back in, tell your friends to hit that like and subscribe, and as always, I appreciate you stopping in.